What if we told you that the reason skyscrapers look the way they do is not quite what you think? Dubai. Its very name is synonymous with extravagance and excess. And this is the latest addition to its skyline, the Ciel Dubai Marina. 1,000 rooms and 365 metres high, this is the tallest hotel in the world, a title that Dubai is snatching from, well, itself. In fact, the previous 5 tallest hotels in the world have been built right here. But if you think this is just another bauble in the blingiest city on earth, then think again. The story of how the Ciel Dubai Marina was built epitomises how engineers and architects harness the elements to create the world's tallest buildings. So, Dubai is not a place for the faint-hearted. In a city that oozes excess, you might think that when it comes to building big, it's a case of anything goes. Architects are just given blank cheques, a plot of land, and a clean sheet of paper.
No, I think that's a myth.
This is someone who'd know. Yahya Jan is president and design director of Norr, which has worked on some of Dubai's most iconic buildings.
Dubai's regulations are extremely rigorous. Most properties come with very defined guidelines on setbacks, height, floor to area ratio. Everything is numbers based. This place, there's creativity, tremendous creativity, but it's tempered by a real analytical approach to work.
That blending of creativity and strict regulations was most recently put to use at the Ciel Dubai Marina. This enormous building has everything you'd expect from a luxury hotel in Dubai. There's an observation deck with views over the city and 4 pools in total, with the highest being a level 76 infinity pool. It may now be the tallest hotel in the world, but that wasn't the initial brief. The whole project started with the question of how to build a 1,000-room hotel on an awkward plot of land sandwiched between the KN Tower and the D94 road.
Property is a triangular shaped piece of land. It's given aspirations, which is a 1,000-room hotel. It's not easy to place a 1,000-room hotel on this property.
But what made the site even more awkward was that the Ciel Dubai Marina wasn't the first project to leave its mark here. A previous cancelled construction project left the ground studded with piled foundations, which would have to be used by anything Yahya and his team designed. As a result, the design and construction effort has been substantial, but it should pay dividends, not just from local Middle Eastern billionaires, but also their ultra-rich visitors and business partners who are investing in a once exclusive asset class: fine art. The art and collectibles market, valued at nearly $2.2 trillion in 2023, could reach almost $2.9 trillion next year, suggesting potential for further growth. It's no wonder that Masterworks' art investing platform, today's video sponsor, already has over $1 billion of invested capital from 65,000 plus active investors who are looking to diversify a slice of their overall portfolios. With legends like Picasso, Basquiat and Banksy featured among their 450 plus previous art offerings, each of Masterworks' 23 exits to date has been profitable, distributing over $60 million back to investors, including principal. And while the channel isn't able to invest, you can get priority access using the QR code on screen, the link in the video description, or by heading to masterworks.art/B1M. The starting point for Norr's concept was a basic cuboid tower sitting on top of a podium. As the tower grew, the awkward site it sat on began to really influence its shape. Any future guests at the hotel will enjoy sea views of the Persian Gulf and the iconic Palm Jumeirah. But the relationship with the sea is two-way. With nothing in front of the tower to shield it, Ciel Dubai Marina faces the full force of the wind rolling in from the coast. Now, down at ground level, that's nothing to be too concerned about, but once you're 300 metres up in the air, that puts a huge strain on the building's structure.
But the reality is that all super tall buildings over 300 meters in height, wind becomes a primary structural consideration.
You've no doubt seen low-rise buildings thrown up in cube or cuboid form. At this height, it's a much cheaper and more efficient way to build than introducing something with dramatic curves. But that same shape extended to the height of a skyscraper acts as a huge sail against the wind. A taller building needs much more structural support to maintain its stability with such a huge force acting against it. That's why skyscrapers, especially super tall skyscrapers, tend to embrace a much more playful form. At this height, all those twists and curves become the more efficient option. Yahya and his team spent 2 years experimenting with different forms to find the perfect shape. Hundreds of scale models were built and wind tested before this tapered oval shape was settled on. Turned slightly into the wind, this shape allows air to pass around it with the minimal vortex shedding on the other side. But it was the requirement for a viewing platform that created the most stunning feature: the eye of the needle.
So we wanted to elevate the tower, and we wanted to put a deck at about 370 meters above grade. And the most economical and efficient way to do that was to make a cutout so that the wind could go through the top of the building rather than become another lateral force that we need to deal with.
In other words, the eye of the needle kind of serves two purposes. It allows the building to have a viewing platform significantly higher than the top of the building, while also providing a space that can be used by the hotel to maximise those stunning views. It all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually build something like this? Well, like everything, it all starts with the foundations. 21 new piles were added to the site before being capped off with a 12,000 square metre raft foundation. To avoid the high cost of steel, the design team used concrete as the main structural material, developing a single core design reinforced by a series of radial buttresses rising the height of the tower. Using a jump form system, these structural elements were poured first, followed by post-tensioned concrete floor slabs measuring almost 2.5 meters at their thickest points. Once again, in an effort to increase the building's wind resistance, its mechanical floors were reinforced by a system of outrigger beams. These work by providing extra rigidity against the lateral force of the wind hitting the building. Without outriggers, buildings are more likely to bend in the wind. Now, these elements consist of a beam or a wall that is more capable of taking this load without deforming. In the case of the Ciel Dubai Marina, that meant the building's mechanical floors featured a series of 8 beams connecting the building's radial walls to the core. The core was then reinforced at the joins in the beams to enable it to take the weight, while a belt wall was created on the building's perimeter to allow it to do the same thing. Once the structure was complete, the building's glass curtain wall was installed behind it. Flat glass panels were delivered to site before being transformed using a cold bending technique. Now, cold bending allows for a shallow degree of bending, which was factored in at the design stage. Models were run to find the balance between the need for a more repetitive and therefore efficient production process and a curved design that would effectively deflect the wind. It was just one more detail of this tower that was shaped and dictated by the need to withstand the elements. Because this structure's core and radial wall system was so strong, it allowed Yahya and the team to design what's possibly the building's most defining feature.
What we found with that concept is that we could carve away some of the slab, and that allowed us to insert these atria, these 12 atrium gardens, which vary from about 6 floors to 8 floors in height. So we were able to remove slabs to create these quasi-public communal spaces.
Louvers on the side of the atrium allow the building to automatically regulate airflow into the space. Once inside, this cooling effect is enhanced by the atrium's height, which effectively creates a giant chimney, drawing in warmer air to the top of the space. It also enables this vast area to be cooled with a minimal energy cost from the building. Once again, it's another feature where the wind was not only a consideration, but actually used to the advantage of the design of the structure. If these extravagant spaces had been air-conditioned, the cost in energy would have been so high that it wouldn't really have been possible to build them. Not that any of the building's pampered guests would notice that. The building was completed in 2024 and is currently being fitted out to open as the latest addition to IHG's Vignette collection of hotels. So rather than thinking of wind dynamics and structural design, if you're lucky enough to afford one of the 147 luxury suites, you're more likely to be enjoying the world's highest infinity pool, the luxury spa, or one of the many fine dining options. In a city as laden with skyscrapers as this, it's easy to take for granted how uniquely challenging each of these Goliaths can be. From innovative designs to formidable construction, we'll just have to wait and see what Dubai has in store for us next. This video was sponsored by Masterworks. You can learn more about that at the link below. Don't forget that we're inspiring the next generation of builders through our investment into BrickBorrow, a fantastic LEGO subscription service. You can learn more and get started today over at brickborrow.com. And as always guys, if you enjoyed this video and you want to get more from the definitive video channel for construction, make sure you're subscribed to the B1M.